Hi there, friends. This is Bill MacDonald, the Common Sense Math Doctor, and today I want to talk about angles. What angle are you taking when you're talking about angles with your students? Too many kids just don't understand the concept of what a right angle is, an acute angle, an ugly angle, an obtuse angle, an big angle. So what we've got to do is take something that's extremely difficult for students and water it down, plant a seed after you've planted that seed, water it down. That might be better. And then they might be able to figure out a little bit about angles. So let me show you a little bit of karate math that could make figuring out angles more interesting. So what I might suggest that you do is show this video to your students. Boys and girls, we're going to do a little bit of karate math. And so what I want you to do is say what I say and do what I do until I go like that. That means stop. So here we go. Let's begin. Ready positions, put your arms to the side, everybody. I'm going to start now. 90 degrees. So you say that, 90 degrees. And then you go, huh, and you make yourself what looks like a 90 degrees at 12 o'clock and your other arm at 3 o'clock. Right angle, huh. And it looks like you're maybe blocking somebody that's trying to come in for the attack. Okay, 90 degrees, huh. And you try to make sure it stays at 9 o'clock and 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock, or in this case, what looks like 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Acute angle, hoo, 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 hoo. So one arm stays the same. And that's what we're used to seeing angles at, is resting on one end, the 0 or the 180. 180 degrees, hoo. A straight angle is also known as 180 degrees. So let me share something with you that even though this is an acute angle at the 0, 180 degree position, this is still an acute angle no matter which way you turn it, boys and girls. So if you keep your arms still and just move your shoulders, you still got an acute angle. Now, if this is 90 degrees and we're talking about time, 12, in this case, 3 o'clock, then a 45 degree angle, which is what we're going to be talking about today, is what we're going to be looking for. Now, it's still 45 degrees, no matter where it is on what we call our protractor in the world. So using something from your classroom, in my virtual classroom back there, there's tons of things that have 90 degree angles, but we get a little bit more stressed out that we can't find things that have greater than 90 degrees. So let's take this pair of scissors. If you see, I have this bottom part here pointing right at 3 o'clock, but when it's completely open, it went past what we would say, we opened it past the point where it went straight up and down to be a 90 degree angle. So that's an obtuse angle. And no matter which way I turn it, doesn't matter where in the world of the imaginary protractor is, it's still an obtuse angle. And so if this is a 90 degree angle right here on this side, and this is a 45 degree angle, half of a 90 degree, no matter which way we turn it, we need to memorize in our heads what a 45 degree angle looks like, because that's always going to be half of a 90 degree angle. A couple other things that I have that I can see just right next to me. I have a stapler, and it's set up at about a 45 degree angle. I have a paper cutter. Let me go ahead and show you both, just so you, since many of you are visual learners, you can see here that if that bottom part is the 0, then this part probably is slightly more than a 45 degree angle. my stapler is pretty humongous. So there's the bottom part at 0 and 180 degrees. And then if the angle's out here, that's probably pretty close. If we were to make a straight line out of that, that's pretty close to 45 degrees. You can do the same thing with a book. If I say 90 degrees, 90 degrees, obtuse, obtuse, anything that's past the 90-degree angle. 180 degrees, the book is wide open there, as you can see. So no matter which way you turn it, if this is going to be an acute angle, no matter which way we turn it, it's still an acute angle. So it's just using your creativity, boys and girls, to find acute angles. The reason I'm showing that is because the problem that gave your friends who are now in 6th grade, I believe, because the 2019 test was 2021, yeah, 2 years ago, there was a question about angles that gave your students fits. So let's go ahead and take a look at one that I made that was kind of like it. And I think what happened, boys and girls, is the starting point was it's not at 0 or 180 degrees. You don't see any letters or any rays going through there. So whenever you're seeing a ray going through a different point, the starting point, remember that what you're looking for is still the correct measurement, but just not starting at 0 or 180 degrees. And so what I've done is I've read, underlined, labeled, and I only have 2 checks there for E for eliminate. We're going to be eliminating 3. And so what I've done is I've marked the one that they're asking about, the one that they have as our starting point. 100 is on the top of the protractor. And if you use the one on the bottom, it's 80. And so difference, you subtract. What we're going to do 4 times is subtract one of the numbers on the top in these 4 letters that they're asking us about with this one, with the one on the bottom, with the 4 ones they're asking about related to this one. Just keep in mind that whichever number is on the top when we do subtraction should be the larger number. So I suggest that once we read this question, I'm going to show you how to set it up on a piece of paper, but I'm going to use my laminated graphic organizer to kind of show you and your teachers another way to use it. For those of you that have already bought this little test, it says to construct an angle that has a measurement of 45 degrees. Got to keep that in your head. Half of a 90-degree angle is 45. Another ray can be drawn that starts at point A, which is 1 part of AD, and goes through either B, E, F, or C. And so you've got to think which angle of those looks closest. Well, sometimes you can't tell by eye. So what we're going to do is I want you to see that measure point B is starting at 45 on the top and 135 on the bottom. Point E is 70 on the top, 110 on the bottom. We already know that our one that we're going to be comparing, you subtract, is letter D. Point F is 145 on the top, and what is that? 35 on the bottom. And finally, letter C is 160 on the top, and going from 0 up, 20 on the bottom. So what I've done, to kind of save you some time is I've gone ahead and used my graphic organizer to set up the problem. This is problem number 2. And just in case you didn't notice, the state average percent correct was only 30% in Texas, understanding that angles, measurements of angles that don't start at 0 or 180 degrees are going to have to be looked at in a different way, like I did with the scissors, the stapler, the book, the hole puncher. So here we have it set up. Letter F, we're doing guessing and checking. What we're looking for is the one that has the measurement of 45 degrees. So whenever you're comparing two numbers, you subtract. So letter B was at 45 and 135, because we know that D was 180. So you're going to see D, point D, every single time in letters F, G, H, and J. And you see here that when your number is bigger that you're subtracting from, we just have to change the positions. But as you can see, we're going to be comparing, you subtract 4 different times. So our point that we had minus the 45 that letter B was is 55 degrees. 135 degrees that B was minus the 80, our starting point is 55 degrees. Since that's not the same as 45 degrees, we are going to eliminate letter F. Our starting point of 100 minus the 70 that was E is 30 degrees. 110 minus our starting point of 80 is 30. So this is the way of double checking to make sure that you don't make a mistake when you're subtracting. Check the top and the bottom numbers of the protractor compared to your given number, in this case, the 100 and the 80 degrees. Since 30 degrees is not the same as 45, we're also going to eliminate letter G. 145, our F point that it goes through, minus our starting point 180 is 45 degrees. And 80, our starting point minus the 35 that letter F went through, is 45 degrees. Since 2 times 45 degrees does match 45, it's more than likely that we're going to be selecting H in this case. But let's double check, see. Our point C went through 160. So 160 minus 100 is 60 degrees, which is certainly not 45 degrees. And 80 degrees, our starting point for letter, what was that, letter D, position D, because remember, ray AD minus the 20 that letter C goes through is 60, and 60 does not match 60. So we are going to eliminate letters A, B, and D, and we'll go ahead and select. So remember this term, comparing, you subtract. And so always keep in mind, boys and girls and teachers, that if you know that a 90-degree angle is pretty much every table, every desktop that you see, the chalkboard back there, the corners of the room back there, those are all 90 degrees. 45 degrees would be, if you can see behind me here, 45 degrees would be going through that point right there half of a 90-degree angle. Half of a 90-degree angle would be trying to move my hands correctly, since that's at 12 o'clock and here's 3 o'clock. 45-degree angles would be the measure that comes out. I'm trying to move my hands correctly here because everything's reversed in camera land. Let me do it with this right here. There we go. All right. So that's 45 degrees when you're looking at the pen and this top part here. And it's also 45-degree angle when you're looking at the dry erase marker and the horizontal part of the board compared to the 45-degree angle and the vertical part of the board. So look around your room, boys and girls, and see if you can find some 90-degree angles, and then figure out in your head by taking a mental picture, what would 45 degrees look like, exactly half of that, because there's tons of 90-degree angles in your room. Teachers, make sure you like this video, share it with your students, tag your writing teacher friends. I've gone ahead and in the YouTube video attached the 4th grade and 3rd grade test. I'll be posting the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th today. I promise. I know I've been telling you that for a little bit, but I've been so exhausted from the weekend, and I'm sure that you teachers can relate. God bless you guys. Email me at writing_doctor@yahoo.com if you would like me to model any specific skills that are not mentioned in one of my tests, or maybe in one of your tests that you find. I will be putting up tests from several years, not the questions from the test, but questions that have the TEKs that are modeled after the most difficult questions that your kids had trouble with. Feel free to message me, teachers, if you have a question or if you have an idea. I look forward to working with many of you. Many schools have already signed up for math or writing or reading ELAR trainings for April, May, June, and July. My price is $1,000 per day on those days, and all I ask is that if you're out of the Rio Grande Valley, normally I like to get an extra $250 a day just to help me with hotel expenses and travel and food, because I gotta eat, boys and girls. And I won't even tell you what angle my stomach used to be compared to what it is now, but I'm doing a lot better. You guys have a wonderful day, and I hope that this video on 45-degree angles that don't start at horizontal lines called zeros and 180 will help you guys. God bless you and have a wonderful evening.